these super chats here. It's really important to look at these. This says we are playing well. Some manager errors, but every team has that. It's still personnel, youth, and needing a goalkeeper, centre back, and striker, similar to last season.
Gav was balanced all of last season. People like Gav, I understand, but if you were strictly Poch out last season and blame nothing but Poch, this year you have to blame Maresca, but you won't because Hussam lives rent-free in your head.
Is that a shot at Don? Don, is that a shot at Don there?
That's a shot at Don, Lewis, everyone. If the shoe fits, wear it, mate.
Looking at fans more mad at Maresca instead of asking for the sporting director's job is the real problem. Back Maresca, questions for the sporting director.
But Jiggy, I will also keep the same energy here quickly. I said this to the Arsenal fans as well, and I say this to you. Why were you not talking about sporting directors when you were second and you were 2 points behind Liverpool and you were above Arsenal? No one mentioned the sporting directors. All of a sudden, you want to talk about them again. It's crazy. Crazy.
This is I think Jiggy might have been, to be fair, but yes, the others not so much.
Yeah, but the reason why you wouldn't be mad at me if I talk about FSG is because I mention FSG even when we're
talking. I understand. I'm saying the super chat at Jiggy was calling that out. It will be interesting to watch someone who last year didn't mention the sporting directors or the ownership at all, or in fact supported them very vehemently, this year talk about ownership and that and completely ignore. Yeah, it's about the same energy.
Yeah, exactly. People like Dom.
I always look at Man United's board as the ultimate problem at the football club, and I'll never change that stance. Don't put all this on one category. He used to switch players and half-time and made changes when needed. He doesn't now. He's making subs too late or not at all. He's at fault along with missed chances, is what Nick says here. Thank you, Nick.
Fantastic super chat, to be honest. It's just fantastic.
It is a brilliant super chat. Very honest from Nick. Decay says, Mo is doing revisionism. You praised Maresca and Chelsea in the first half of the season for our goals and attack. We told you we weren't good defensively. When the goals dried up, you blame Maresca. Come on.
Just listen to Nick, just the last super chat when he said Maresca changed. Why you don't accept that Maresca changed? The plan changed, Dakai. The tactics changed. You're wide open in the middle. You weren't that wide open in the middle. Like, bro, look at Nick. He's saying Maresca doesn't make changes too late. He doesn't trust he used to play Vega sometimes. He used to play some others. He's so stubborn now to play Joao Felix. Yes, he played him yesterday, but every now and then he gives him a minute. So look at Maresca, to be honest, and say, yeah, you missed chances, but also Maresca tactics needs to change.
This here, next one says he's 10-7-4. Okay, 10 wins, 7 draws, 4 defeats, I think it means. Lost 4 matches in the first 21 matches of his Premier League career. Stop all the nonsense. It's a grind with injuries, multiple fixtures, etc. And he's lost 4 games. EPL fans equal WWE fans.
I don't think this is more Premier League fans. This is something Mo said earlier, which is this is the worst fan base to ask to be patient. And this is what I said all of last year. They're never going to be patient. It's impossible. But the 4 losses came against who? Liverpool, City. Who the hell else did they lose to? Liverpool, City. Fulham. And who's the 4th one? They didn't lose to you, did they? They drew, right? You drew.
They drew with Arsenal. What about Arsenal? They
drew with Arsenal.
They drew with Arsenal.
Someone in the chat will tell us anyway.
The problem is not these losses.
The other loss was
Ipswich. Yeah.
The problem is the draw against Bournemouth when you were in the driving seat and you were open second half. Ipswich, the Crystal Palace. These are the problems. It's not looking at 4 losses.
Yeah, the Bournemouth and Fulham. Those games where they're dominating, leading, and then
Crystal Palace.
Same thing. This here from Abs, he says, Chalobah news, another reason why the board are clowns. Yeah, Chalobah has been called back with immediate effect, which is an interesting one. I mean, a lot of Chelsea fans, again...
I rate Chalobah. I would have taken him at Liverpool, actually.
Well, a lot of Chelsea fans I speak to wanted better than Chalobah, but definitely put him above players like Disasi as an example, who's been awful for them this year. So
I think Chalobah is better than Disasi. He's better than Badiashile. I think he's... Like, Chalobah is not a bad defender. He's not the best on the ball.
He doesn't solve the tactical problem. He
He
doesn't
does
solve
not
the
solve the problem, but like
Yeah.
he won't become an issue if you.
Unless they get a Van Dijk, it doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah. The K
Yeah,
here
but that's
says
what I'm saying. That's why it's not Maresca's fault or Poch's fault.
No, it is. You don't understand. Unless they get a Van Dijk, Maresca cannot play this football without a Van Dijk. The high
But-
five players not
But
defending.
that's just my point. What did I say earlier on? That's why I defended Maresca and I defended Poch.
Habibi, but
because
there is
people
no
don't
Van
get-
Dijk in the world. He needs to
Yeah,
work with what
Habibi,
he
if you want
has.
to improve your team, go sign 3 top-class players who have experience. It's very
Yeah,
simple.
Habibi. Okay, but there is no Van Dijk in the world right now. He needs to work with what he
You don't
has.
have to get Van Dijk. You don't have to get Van Dijk.
Allah.
You don't have to get Van Dijk. Madrid are trying to do the whole Galacticos thing. Go get Rudiger. Problem solved. No need Van Dijk. Who told you need Van Dijk?
Rudiger.
Go
They're
get
going to get Rudiger back. Okay.
Go get
No,
Lobotka. Go get a forward player who could score. Osimhen. Problem solved. Khalas.
You think that you get a striker, the problem solved in the middle and the defense?
No, that's why I said 3 players and you changed.
Okay. I still think the
That's
problem
why-
is in the middle.
You know, I
I-
think you studied the wrong thing. You studied geology. You shouldn't have studied. You should have studied yoga because you stretch statements.
Oh my
You take a statement and
God.
you stretch the fuck out of it for no reason.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
Terry's
there.
job. Terry's here to switch to stretch statements. Don't stretch shit that I didn't say. I said center back, midfielder, and forward. And as soon as I say the forward's name, so you're saying we should just sign a forward? لا حبيبي ما I said
I think the
Lobotka.
problem is tactical. That's what you don't understand.
I said Lobotka,
Listen,
Rudiger,
I can say it. I cannot understand it for you. Go ahead.
the K here says Chelsea fans don't want to sack Maresca. We know our issues. Defense is a problem, but Maresca isn't the problem. We have the youngest squad in England. Fair play to you. Patrick here says an issue is that fans of every club are being sold projects and the progression is never linear. The problem is that some fans can accept that and others can't, leaning into ideology wars between fans. But Patrick, it's maybe the best super chat I have ever I've ever had. And do you know why I say that? I watched the 99 documentary. It's on the BBC in the UK about the treble winning season. I watched it on Saturday night, and there was a moment in it where somebody's talking back in 1998, the summer, and the players were quite concerned that summer because preseason was okay. There's a bit of a ruckus because there was the World Cup, and some players weren't given a rest. Fergie said, "No, come back now. We need you to start training." They started the season really poorly. Arsenal battered us in the Community Shield. The league campaign was sluggish. The window was still open, though. And there's players being interviewed now in the moment. And there was interviews and people talking back then. And somebody talking back in the summer of 1998 said, Sir Alex Ferguson told us to just trust the process. And it made me laugh out loud. I was having a little drink. My dog was asleep next to me. And I startled him because I burst out laughing so loudly. Because I was thinking to myself, if you say things like that now, it's kind of ridiculed. But managers and clubs have said this to fans and players for a long time. It's only now that we're kind of hyper-focused on it. These projects and processes have always existed. It's just that they're more pronounced now because we as fans are kind of in the middle of the media because we have social media and we're talking about it and we're reacting. Where it just never came up so much before. And I think what I love about this super chat is I hear it all the time. What phase is this club in? If you want to get, what phase is Slot in? Well, if we're going to get really pernickety about it, it's not about Slot's phase, it's Liverpool's phase. You're probably in about phase 15 since FSG have been there. If we're going to get really pedantic about the point, you started your rebuild before Klopp and what you did still here, right? So this is the irony in it. People do think it's linear. And I saw Man United fans get angry yesterday because a report's come out that the manager thinks it will take 6 transfer windows, including January's, to build the squad he wants. That's far too long. But you've been told consistently by Ineos and by fans that understand what this takes, that it's going to take 3 to 4 years to get the squad to be, again, to try and build a squad that's good enough to be consistent every single year. Now it's got to be quicker. Why does it have to be quicker? How could it be quicker? You don't know what you're talking about. And I think it's really, and then what you get is you get improvement, then you get a dip, and everyone's like, see, the process stuff is bullshit. Honestly, it's a great, great super chat because it's just a lot of people that are impatient, silly, or deliberately lie about these situations. You're absolutely spot on there, my friend. You really are. I rate Trev. It was about how the board treated him. No, I get what you meant. I get what you meant by that. We were just talking about it in general.
Wasn't he ostracized in the summer as well? I swear, like they didn't let him practice with the team or something. I swear he was, if I'm not mistaken.
He got the same treatment as Sterling and the rest of them.
Hey.
And then Chalobah, come help us. Chalobah, please come back.
I love this. Terry, stop making excuses for Man United. It's not about excuses. We are where we are. Anyone who thinks we're going to become a consistent team and we're going to build that squad, and when we're talking consistent, we're like talking be able to compete year in, year out for the league. If you think it isn't going to take 3 to 4 seasons to develop that, you're kidding yourself. And this is what might happen. We might start next season off really well 3 months in, and I'll get, Terry, you're wrong. It didn't take 4 years. Then we have a little dip. And instead of people going, do you know what? It was always going to take 3 or 4 years. It will be managers are fraud. Idiots are frauds. No, we're in that process. You're just not prepared to be patient or learn to understand it. Do some reading and you'll get it. I know you're only joking, Blade, but I do find it really interesting. I really do find it interesting indeed. What people say around this. Forget about sport. Life in general is a process. A lot of the standard FCs who have channels don't they wake up tomorrow? Why don't they wake up tomorrow with 1 million subs? Because nobody has the rights to win. You earn it and takes time. That's what I would love that expression, because I look at it this way. If you're someone that's standard FC, but you run your own YouTube channel, it doesn't matter how good you are, it's still going to take a period of time for you to grow and have a substantially large channel that makes consistent, good quality content that stands the test of time. And what I mean by that is in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, you're still around making content and you're still relevant, and you haven't kind of exposed. A lot of newcomers expose themselves really early by, crazy things they say or do. If you really are that good and you have the highest standards possible, you're still not going to be able to catch up Robbie or catch Goldbridge. Or in fact, let's look at some of the smaller channels that are on 100K. You're not going to catch them in 6 months, a year, 2 years. It's going to take time. It doesn't matter how good you are. It will take time. Unless you're best friends with somebody with millions of followers who can refer them to you and tell you, you're not going to. There are some people in the YouTube world outside of football that have got 2 million subs, but it's because they went to school with someone that's got 10 million subs, right? It's not really because of their talent. There's a little bit of nepotism in there. But yeah, listen, it's so correct. And it doesn't mean you shouldn't have high standards. But the idea that by having high standards, you achieve more in isolation of itself is fucking mental. It's mental thought process to have. It's because we live in a banter culture. People are quick to banter clubs. I see it already with Almarim, who has taken you 14th in a month, which is a nonsense. No patience. Yeah, of course, because we have to strip it back to go forward, but people don't want to understand that. Chalobah was mistreated by Chelsea. Now we are asking him to help us. He was the best centre-back last season. He deserves better. Shambolic from the directors. That's what's been said here. I hear you on that. Moving on.